What's up, you sweaty nerds and greasy degenerates? Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae, aka Super Saiyan Dan, is coming out in Honkai Star Rail in less than 2 weeks from now, and so I thought it would be good to go over whether we thought that Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae is worth pulling for or not. Obviously, every account's going to want something different. Some characters might be worth more than others. You can't really go wrong pulling for a 5-star in this game in the current space of the game, but you may want certain characters over others, and you may want to be aware of some of the things going on with Super Saiyan Dan that you might not be thinking about. So, let's get into it. First of all, I wanted to point out that there is no such thing as a must-pull character in this game, okay? Don't be fooled by people's YouTube titles like my own. We're just capping, okay? You can literally beat Memory of Chaos 10 with a team of 4 stars, okay? And if your original 4-star roster isn't getting it done, you can build Eidolons up and build a 4-star roster that can get it done. You don't even need a 5-star. And with the 5 stars, think about this for a second here. There's not a single 5-star that's been released that's bad. They're all good. And I know what you're all about to do. I can already hear it now. Jing Yuan's bad! Mid Yuan, guys! Mid Yuan! Everybody run! Mid Yuan's here! Dude, guys, what the fuck? Calm down, y'all! Okay, I understand I released a video recently that said literally Jing Yuan's bad, okay? But you have to understand, at 19 seconds into that video, I said that I was capping, that the title was clickbait, and that I was literally joking. Exact words that I used. I'm joking, okay? Jing Yuan is still a very, very good character. Oh my god, he might not be the best lightning AoE character in the game anymore. Who cares? He's still one of the best characters in the game, guys. Calm down, okay? I was just kidding, alright? Anyways, Jing Yuan's mid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Anyways, listen. Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae looks like to be a very powerful character in this game. But don't feel pressured to have to pull for this guy just because he seems like he's going to be a contender for one of the top DPS slots. I made a prediction recently that he's going to probably be one of the top 3 DPS in the game. I still stand by that. But that doesn't mean that you have to pull for him, okay? So don't feel pressured into doing it because there are some things that might not be kind of along with your playstyle that you might want to be worried about because that's the important thing to think about. Does this 5-star appeal to me? Does this playstyle appeal to me? Do I like the drawbacks or the positives about this character? And that's kind of what I want to go into with this video. I'm not trying to convince people to pull for a character or not. I'm just going to throw out some information that you guys can take it or leave it with, okay? So let's go into it. So when thinking about whether to pull for Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae or not, we need to understand what type of character he is. He's different than, like, Kafka, right? Kafka has a very specific team composition where she wants to be on DOT teams. You can build hypercarry Kafka, but that's not what we're really talking about here, okay? Dan Heng is a hypercarry DPS that you insert into any team, and he's just going to work well. Just like Seela. You put Seela on literally any team, you put a support character behind her, and they just pop off. Same thing with Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae. You put him on a team, you put a support behind him, and he just goes crazy, okay? So that's the type of character that Dan Heng is. You don't have to build your entire team around him very specifically. So just about any player will be able to use Dan Heng in a meaningful way. But something to be aware of with Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae is that he seems to be a very SP-hungry character, but in a different way than you might expect. Okay, so Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae has a pretty high energy bar for his ultimate. It's pretty big, okay? So he builds up energy slower than other characters normally would. And he has an ability where if you use his enhanced basic attack, it will consume a bunch of that SP energy, unless you have stacks of his special ability. You can build stacks and consume the stacks instead of using the SP energy, but he has the option to use SP energy instead. So despite the fact that he does have this little bit of a thing holding him back with his energy, he can use it well if you're able to learn how to play him and learn how to manage it. So, like with a lot of other characters, he's going to have a fun playstyle because it's going to be really interesting and diverse, and you're going to have to do all of this SP management with the character. So it's a fun DPS character. It's not like a dumb DPS character where it's like, hit your E, hit your E, hit your E, ultimate, hit your E, hit your E, hit your E, ultimate. You're going to actually be able to play the game in a fun and interesting way where you're going to have to be efficient with your SP in order to be optimal, and occasionally you'll be able to be risky and greedy with your SP and occasionally get rewarded for it. So it's a very fun and interesting playstyle based on that. He's kind of like a thinker's DPS character. Now, the other problem he has because of this, a lot of people are really worried that he's not going to be autoplay friendly because of this. We all know that the autoplay pretty much wants to hit your E on any character that it can. It'll hit your E every single time that it can with your DPS character. And is he going to use his enhanced basic attack when he does that? Is he going to not? Which version of his enhanced basic attack is he going to use? Will he even use his basic attack? We don't really know at this time what the heck he's going to do, because a lot of the time the computer wants to just use the skill. So if he has the option, will it just use his skill and then use his basic? What's it actually going to do? We don't know. So just something to be aware of. Excuse me, Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae is not potentially going to be autoplay friendly. So this is definitely a character that I would wait. Don't pull immediately on release. Wait for some people to find out about some of the way Dan Heng works, to find out if you really want to pull for him, because there's going to be some interesting interactions with the character that you may or may not like. Just because a character might be top tier doesn't mean it's going to be a character you'll like to use. An example of this is Hu Tao in Genshin Impact, right? Hu Tao is a very, very good character in Genshin Impact, but a lot of people don't play Hu Tao, even though they have one, because they don't like her playstyle. Because a lot of her playstyle requires like just certain things that people don't necessarily like. Like there's like animation cancels and stuff like that that are supposed to be used to optimize her properly, and a lot of people don't really like doing that. So because of that, a lot of people don't actually play Hu Tao, despite Hu Tao actually being one of the better characters in the game. So similarly to that with Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae, will Dan Heng be fun to play for everybody? I know plenty of people that are in the comments of my videos that found out that certain characters aren't autoplay friendly, and they literally skipped. Even though they like the character, they like the way they look, they like the style, they like the lore, they skipped because they didn't like the fact that it might not be autoplay friendly. If you're worried about that, don't pull for Dan Heng on day one. Potentially don't even pull for Dan Heng at all. But I would definitely say that this is and with any character, if you aren't sure, you don't want to pull day one. You want to wait a little bit, okay, to make the right decision that's best for your account. Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae is 100% one of those characters that you want to wait, don't pull on release, find out what he's really going to play like, try him out in the trial character. You can try him out in the trial, right, for free without having to worry about it, and truly find out what it's like. Because we got to play a version of him in the story, but we were limited. They didn't let us do everything we can with the character. We were basically playing a tutorial, okay? So just be aware of that, right? And you can practice with your friends and using the support system in the game. You can use other people's Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunaes on day 1, 2, and 3 to find out if you like the character or not, then pull the character later if you want. Don't forget, the characters are out for 3 weeks. Okay, you don't have to pull on day 1. I know the hype, I know being there for the adrenaline rush, the dopamine rush from pulling on day 1 is super fun, but it's gonna feel worse than you know what I mean? It's gonna feel really bad if you pull for a character and you don't end up liking it because you hate their playstyle even if they're good, okay? So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. If this video was entertaining to you in any way, shape, or form, please leave a like and subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, I'm gonna come to your house in the middle of the night, like the boogeyman, and I'm gonna steal your favorite midnight snacks. Probably those Oreos, Or maybe those Pringles you got in the pantry. Maybe the lasagna you got there in the refrigerator. I'm not picky. I'll come for whatever you got. So like and subscribe for more.